And since the discussion forums are not usually all that helpful, I've already fixed this problem. I figured out why it's happening, but I wanted to record this video to show what's happening. So a little background. We have multiple data sources that are all feeding into Google Sheet. And most of the data sources aren't relevant for this discussion, but the ones that are relevant is we have Google Ads and Facebook Ads. And I have those on separate tabs because of a weird quirk in the way that the two different ad platforms report. So we sometimes will shut off one platform or the other for short periods of time. And the explanation of why is not relevant here, and I'm don't want to get into whether or not that's even a good idea. But suffice it to say that it does happen, and it has happened in the past. With Facebook, any dates that ads don't run, when you pull the data, those dates just simply won't be there. There's nothing to report, so the dates don't exist. With Google, the dates will be reported and everything will just be reported as zeros. So I couldn't put all of the data into a single tab. We're using Supermetrics to pull the data, but the dates won't line up because of missing dates in the Facebook data. So I had to put the dates into their own separate tabs and then recombine them on a single tab that I'm referring to as daily. And so I use VLOOKUP formulas. I have everything keyed off of the date column, which is column A, and looking up all of the data. So one of the things that I do, let's look at ad spend. And with the ad spend, you can see that I actually wrote this formula to do error checking. So this is NA is basically saying if when I do the date lookup, if the date doesn't exist, then go ahead and put a 0, otherwise pull the actual data. With Google ad spend, I didn't have to do that because Google reports all of the dates, and if we didn't run anything on those dates, it reports zeros by default. The problem becomes, let's get down, I ran this sheet down to like several years into the future. Let's get down to the end so I start getting to future dates. And you can see with the Google data, I've got NAs. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. With some of the Google data, I've got NAs because these are future dates. This stuff hasn't happened yet. But with the Facebook data, I don't because I'm doing the error checking and having it put in zeros if the dates don't exist yet in the query data. So that is causing this problem. Google Data Studio is reporting no data when in fact I know for certain that data is there. And the problem is that you can't mix data types in the same column. You can have a text header and then all numbers the rest of the way down, but that's the only mixing of data types that's allowed in Google Data Studio. If you have text or like error codes like I have here, then it's going to throw an error, and it's not a particularly helpful error because it just says no data. So let's go and fix this. And the simplest way, I will just get my Facebook ad spend, copy, and paste it over here on the Google ad spend. And then I just have to change this. This instead of Facebook query is Google Ads query. And over here, instead of Facebook query, I want to do this as Google Ads query. And I think this is on the 6th column over. Nope, it's the 7th column over. All right, so now I'm pulling the data, and it's not formatted like in currency, but it doesn't matter. Okay, another little trick. Google Sheets functions a little bit differently from Microsoft Excel. If you put the cursor over the lower right-hand corner and you double-click, In Excel, when you do that, it'll copy your formula or continue a series. Like if you put 1, 2, 3, and then you double click, it'll continue 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Or if you write a formula, it will just copy that formula the rest of the way down the column. Google Sheets does that as well, but only if the column is blank. If you already have stuff there, I just double clicked and you can see it doesn't do anything. So I actually have to click and drag. Luckily, I only have, all right, come on, click and drag. Oh, it was just delayed. All right. Luckily, I only have 1,000 rows here, so this is only going to take a few seconds. But we'll just drag this all the way to the bottom so that I don't have any error codes in the add spend field. So now I'm getting into where the error codes are. Sorry, this is the boring part of the video, where you're just watching me scroll to the bottom of my sheet, but we're almost there. We're getting into the 900s. And 1,000. Okay. Let it recalculate. There we go. So now you can see I've got numbers all the way down. So let's go back to Data Studio and let me just hit the refresh button. And voila, I have fixed the problem. And I'll go back and verify that the numbers are accurate, but I already can tell by sight that they are. So that is the issue. If you start getting no data and you know for certain that there is data, it's very likely that you have mixed data types. You can have blanks, so you can have numbers and blanks, but in my case, since I was doing all formulas, I wanted this extended out and not have to rewrite the formula every day.